Well, let's start with the interview. Who is
Sure.
Joetastic? Tell us about yourself.
So I'm a community mapper for Beat Saber, and I'm most well known for having made an absurd amount of maps. So my favorite mapping genre is punk rock from the 2000s, and any music which sounds like it could be an anime opening. So any kind of music that really hypes me out, or literally anime openings themselves. I also enjoy listening to nightcore and rock covers of popular songs.
I see. And what do you do outside of Beat Saber?
Yeah, so outside of Beat Saber, I'm currently serving my 2 years of military service. I can't go into too much details about what I'm doing during my military, but I'm currently a corporal and I'm in a combat engineer battalion. So I've been in the military for over a year now, and I have about 8 months to go before I return to a civilian life. Yeah,
Wow, that's amazing. If
yeah,
that's
serving
the word.
serving my country.
Yeah. And how did you find Beat Saber?
Okay, so I first saw Beat Saber about 3 years ago. I was browsing on Facebook and I saw a mixed reality video of someone playing it. So that's what got me interested. And at that time, I was looking for something to do, something to kill time. So I actually bought a VR headset like a few months after that just to try out Beat Saber.
Whoa, wow. And what was it like to use VR for the first time?
So just like how most people thought about VR back in the day. I thought it was a gimmick at first, but after putting on the headset, it was like I'm transported to a whole different world. It's like a completely different yeah, it's like brand new experience. Like I thought it would be like really gimmicky, like it won't be fun, but like it it really does feel like you're in a virtual um reality. Like you're actually interacting with the objects and not just like point and clicking with a mouse on a 2D screen. So stuff like horror games, like on your screen you can just look away, but in VR you literally have to close your eyes or you have to take off your headset. Like looking away isn't an option. It's like really immersive. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. And what made you start mapping?
So the same reason as most other mappers. So I started mapping because my favorite song wasn't available in Beat Saber at that time. So back in 2018, when I first started playing Beat Saber, I was in love with this soundtrack from a anime called Ruby, and there were a few of them on Beat Saber, and even few of them were like good maps. So I decided to take matters in my own hands, and I started out to learn mapping just so I can map my favorite songs into Beat Saber.
Damn, that's an amazing way to start, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And how did you learn to map them?
So back in 2018, there wasn't actually like back in 2018 it was there wasn't much like there was no wiki, there was no like not much tutorials on how to map. So when I typed in how to map in Beat Saber on Google, like the only tutorial that came up was by Benny the Beast.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, he's the OG, like the OG top mapper. So I followed his tutorial, downloaded mediocre mapper, and I followed his instructions. And eventually, I started mapping a few maps, and some people, they took notice and they invited me to a mapping Discord. So from there, I got more advice from other mappers on how to map there.
I see, that's actually amazing. And how often do you remap stuff?
So like how often do I remap stuff? So I don't think I remap my old stuff often because my mapping style is always changing, and if I were to go back and remap all my maps, I'll have to remap like my maps every single year because like I always think my old maps aren't really that good. But I usually prefer going forward mapping new songs instead of going back to map songs that I've already mapped before. I've done a few remaps, but they are mainly for clients who requested it, or if
Ah,
the maps are like really off time or there's really a mismap that I have to fix.
I see.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite part about mapping?
So my favorite part about mapping is the creative process behind it all. So just like how mapping is like painting, you're able to put your own style into it. So like I like how I put my own mapping style to a song, and I like making players do a dance. You know, like making players move and dance the way you want to. It gives you a lot of control, and seeing people enjoy your maps really makes it satisfying when you finish a map and upload it.
Yeah, I have seen that most of your maps have like a theme depending on the song, and it's very cool.
Yeah, like how my like if I'm mapping a anime song, I'll try to make it a little bit challenging, but at the same time a little bit dancey. If I'm mapping more pop stuff, I'll make it more of a dancey kind of map. If it's maps without any kind of lyrics, like usually electronic sounding maps or stuff, I try to make it a little bit more challenging. So yeah.
And what's or who's your inspiration for mapping?
My inspiration for mapping. So when I first started mapping, I looked at the top mappers like Benny the Beast, Rustic, and Ruckus for inspiration because after all, if they are the top mappers, that means their maps must be doing something right, correct? Yeah. So eventually, I experimented for a while, trying different mapping styles, and eventually I settled on a style of my own, which I'm comfortable with. And from then on, I'm just playing other like maps from other mappers and slowly changing my style each time.
Nice, dude. And how many maps have you mapped so far?
Uh, so far I've mapped over I think 850 maps, but
Holy.
officially yeah, but officially I only have 720 because some of them got taken down a long time ago.
Ah,
Yeah.
I see. Who are your favorite mappers?
So okay, so my favorite mappers. I always enjoyed. I used to enjoy Benny's maps. Even though they're considered slow and really outdated by today's standards, but like he has a certain style which no other mapper has. Tried to like that no other mapper is doing right now because it's considered outdated. But it
I
still
see.
makes me feel nostalgic when I play some of his maps. I also like maps by Coulson, Keiki, and Rustic to name a few of them. There's still like a few more mappers that I like, but the list
Yeah.
is probably long, and I can't remember all of their names on top of my
Those
head.
are
Yeah,
really OG names.
yeah. Those are really OG names, and some of them are even on the official Beat Saber mapping team. Just goes to show how good their mapping is.
Oh, that's very amazing. And do you just map or play with Saber too?
I mean, well, obviously to map you need to play a bit of Beat Saber so you understand the mechanics and what patterns work and what patterns don't work. And you still need to play like occasionally to keep up the meta, or else your mapping will still, be a little bit behind everyone's else. But back then in 2018, 2019, I used to play more than I mapped. But after joining the military this year, I've had less time to less free time, so I can't really play a lot of Beat Saber. So now I mainly focus on mapping.
And apart from Beat Saber, what other games do you play?
Mainly play any kind of multiplayer games my friends are playing. So if they're playing Minecraft, I join them in Minecraft. If they're playing Apex Legends, I join them in Apex Legends. So those are a few games I play with them. I don't really play games alone because nowadays I don't really have much time to play games, and I prefer just watching videos, watching anime on my own free time. I do also play other VR rhythm games such as O-Shape, Synth Riders, and Audica.
Ah,
Yeah,
those are really good games. And yeah,
yeah, those are.
and I kinda agree. Playing with friends is really fun instead of playing just alone.
Yeah, I'm not really a alone kind of gamer. I don't tend to play single player games. I don't find fun in them. Like interacting with friends is more fun in my opinion.
And it's weird because Beat Saber is a single player game, but it doesn't feel like you're playing alone, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Cause there's a community in Beat Saber. You can play a map and you can upload a score and you can talk to other people about it or how to improve. And same thing with like mapping for Beat Saber. You're not just mapping and uploading alone. You're mapping, uploading. Other mappers can give feedback, can talk to other mappers, can talk to players. They can interact with you and give you advice or
Yeah,
feedback on your maps.
it's amazing how amazing
Hmm.
the Beat Saber community is, because you can ask for something and they always respond.
Yeah, and it's really amazing how like Beat Saber, like before it had multiplayer, it's a single player game, right? But yet the community is so big and so connected on a single player game.
And yeah, it's not only for mappers and players. You actually can get help in the modding team, in the models team, and yeah, they will help you, and that's really amazing.
Yeah, it's a really interactive community.
And what's the longest time you ever spent into a map?
Um, oh, the longest time I've put into a map. Well, okay, so I map pretty fast, so that's how I have so many maps. So I don't tend to put too much time into my maps. That doesn't mean I don't put any effort into them because I still try my best. But the longest I can recall was like if I was to map non-stop instead of like mapping maybe 1 hour each day, was around 3 days of non-stop mapping, and that was for a 24-minute map. It's a Ruby compilation that I did back in 2019. So that took like 24 times 3 hours over the course of like 4 or 5 days to map.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's that's a really
yeah,
long time into a map.
it's it's my longest map to date. 24 minutes of non-stop Ruby. That's how much I enjoy their songs.
And since you are an unranked mapper, what are your
Mhm.
thoughts on the ranked maps?
So so just like how most games have like a casual and competitive mode, Beat Saber also has like have your casual unranked maps and your more competitive ranked maps. So they certainly have a place in Beat Saber for community players. And I respect the mappers that map ranked maps to challenge players and to push the limits of what people are capable of. And and it's also good to see people always talking about their scores on ranked maps and how their PP has improved because it means that community is still alive and active. And I think without ranked maps, right, people wouldn't have put this much hours into the game, and it certainly helps to keep the community alive.
Yeah, and when I was new, the first time I played with Saber,
Hmm.
my first map was actually one of yours. I don't remember.
Really?
Yeah, and I think that's happened for the most of new players. Your maps are actually comfortable to play, and they are not hard, but not that easy. So it's really fun to play them.
Yeah, I try to strike a middle ground. Not just because I like making comfortable maps, because I'm also one of the players that prefer these kind of maps. I do try to make my maps harder, but usually like I can't map them quite well because I'm not because it's outside of my comfort zone, and not just in terms of mapping but for playing as well. So yeah.
And who's your favorite Beat Saber streamer?
Streamers as in on Twitch, right? So
Yep.
sometimes I do, yeah. So sometimes I do join Twitch just to hang out with streamers or just to interact with the community in general. There's so many different types of Beat Saber streamers that I like. I like the Japanese streamers that always have their cute full body avatars. They're always like dancing and
Yeah,
they always have the really
that's like culture. I don't know. I have seen that almost all Japanese players have avatars in full body tracking.
yeah, it's I mean it's really fun. It's really fun to watch, and it's if you have an avatar, it's kind of a waste not to go full body tracking on it because like
True.
you can do way more dance moves instead of just tracking your hands and your head, it can track your legs, so you can do stuff like Beat Saber, and you can jump and stuff like that. I also like streamers that Well, I like any streamer that accepts any song requests, because that means you can request a map of yours and see a live reaction of people playing your maps. And always when they're done playing my maps, I always tip them. I always tip them for trying out my maps and giving me feedback.
Wow, that's really nice, not gonna lie. And yeah, seeing
Yeah.
a big streamer or even a small streamer play your maps is really something. It's really an experience.
Yeah, like big or small, like seeing anybody play your maps, it means your effort hasn't gone to waste, and it gives you the satisfaction as a mapper.
And when do you know when a map is finished and ready to play?
So every time when I know a map is finished is when I play test it and I'm happy with it. I see no issues with the map, no need to change anything. If the speed is okay, if the mapping is fine, and any parts that I can improve can be improved. Occasionally, if it's a commission map, I'll send it to my client, and if they're happy with it, then I'll also upload it.
Ah, I see. And for those new mappers, any tips?
So for tips for new mappers, so try to take it slow and try to start out with an easy song with simple rhythms. One tip on knowing what to map is if you hum out a song, the melody of a song, that's usually what you want to map to. So be it either the lyrics or the main rhythm of a song. So once you've gotten the hang of mapping the main rhythm, you can move on to more complex rhythms, and eventually you learn how to map harder or faster songs. And also another advice is that it's okay to scrap a map and remap it again later. So there's nothing wrong with coming back to a song that you've scrapped once your mapping has improved or you get more ideas on how to map it. And oh yeah, one more advice that a lot of people give new mappers is that don't map your favorite song as your first map. Even though like that's what you really want to do, chances are your first map won't really be that good, and you'll be more personally affected when other people give you feedback on how the map is bad or how you can improve. Plus, you probably want to do your favorite song more justice by making it a good map. So there's actually nothing wrong with getting more mapping experience before you start on it.
Yeah, that was actually my first mistake as a new mapper. I mapped my favorite song first, and I
Hmm.
had to remap it like 6 times, and it was a 4 minute song.
Yeah, exactly. Like remapping a song over and over again can be frustrating, and taking your favorite song and replay forcefully remapping it over and over, it can turn your favorite song into your least favorite song. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why a lot of people don't advise against it.
So this is the end of the question. Now you can promote your YouTube, Discord, Twitter, etc.
Okay, yeah. So, for my YouTube, I have a small YouTube channel where I occasionally post gameplay videos of my maps there. It's called Joe and then space and then Tastic, not Joetastic, because for some weird reason, YouTube wants me to put a first and last name. I also post updates about my maps or my personal life on my Twitter. It's called Joetastic with an underscore because Joetastic itself is taken by someone else. And finally, my maps can be found on either Beat Saber or Beast Saber under the name Joetastic.
Alright, and thank you for being in my Who is Player series. I really impressed that you actually accept my request.
Yeah, and thanks for inviting me to your interview.
Thank you, man. See you later.
All right, thank you.
He's a really nice guy, not gonna lie.